Volume 2. I saw Volume 1. I saw Rage react to Volume 1. That shit was crazy. Nigga.
This was posted to an Instagram story on the afternoon of July 22nd, 2022. It was broadcast to an audience of thousands of followers.
A lot of these.
The account belonged to a Tampa-based rapper named Rolly Bands. His real name was Ari Williams. His listeners knew him as Rolly Bands. But to his family, he was AJ. He was 27 years old, a father to a young daughter named Kashmir, and an upcoming artist trying to push his music beyond the local scene. Ari was navigating a local music scene where credibility is essential. In that specific environment, disrespect is rarely handled quietly. When a grievance surfaces, the unwritten expectation is to address it loudly, proving to the people watching your every move online that you are not intimidated. The exact origins of that conflict to this day are not entirely public, but the tension itself was very real. He opened his phone and typed out the message, making it clear that he was not hiding. He stated that people knew his address, and he was not afraid to sleep there.
Bro.
And then he uploaded it. He hit the button to publish the story. The text went live. It was a temporary.
Bro, I hate niggas that do this shit, bro. Like, especially if you got like kids and shit in your house and you post some shit like this.
Broadcast
That's
designed by a
dumb.
platform to disappear entirely within 24 hours. And it was available to all of his followers in their feeds. Ari was heading home to the IQ apartments at 12708 Bruce B. Downs Boulevard.
You know what's crazy? They starting to build apartments that look like this around my area.
The IQ Apartments is modern, a huge property. It is a highly visible, populated space where hundreds of people walk from their cars to the stairwells at all hours of the day. It was a Friday afternoon. At roughly 3:30 p.m., traffic on the street was heavy as the work week ended, and people began commuting home. Ari made his way back to his complex. As he drove home, his Instagram story was being viewed. People tapped on their feed, reading the text in the dark background. Most viewers were fans checking in on his day. Some were just casual observers who followed the local drama. And somewhere inside that audience were the people who understood exactly who that message was meant for. Ari pulled his vehicle into the lot of the IQ Apartments. For a brief moment, he was just a 27-year-old father arriving home on a Friday afternoon. He opened the car door and stepped out onto the asphalt. But he did not make it to his apartment.
The niggas got on his ass.
Not long after the text went live on his profile, the confrontation reached the parking lot. There was no warning, no escalating argument on the pavement, no chance to talk it down. And soon, the gunfire started. Residents inside their air-conditioned units froze. Some ducked away from windows, while others peered through the blinds trying to locate what was the source of the noise.
Like you didn't even do this. You didn't even do this in like in a house or something. You do this shit in an apartment complex. Niggas know where I be at. Like, why would you even do that shit in an apartment complex? And them niggas who spent on that nigga, y'all weird as fuck too. Y'all weird as fuck too. Y'all could have caught that nigga somewhere else besides putting other people's lives in danger. Y'all could have caught that nigga walking down the street or something. But that rapper ass nigga, dumb as fuck. Like, you got kids and shit, and you like, come on, bro. Like, you got kids, and you putting other people's lives in danger. Like, you fucking retarded.
Down on the pavement, Ari collapsed. He was bleeding from a severe gunshot wound. The time between the digital taunt and the physical violence had only taken just seconds. The shooters were quickly back in their vehicle, and they accelerated out of the complex, merging back into that dense Friday traffic, and completely disappearing. At about 3:30 p.m., police were called to the property, and the report itself was simple. It was an adult man who had been shot in the parking lot. First responders arrived to find the young father lying on the ground. They loaded him into the back of an ambulance and rushed him to a nearby hospital.
GG's.
The medical staff attempted to stabilize him, but the damage was too extensive, and he was pronounced dead shortly after his arrival.
Rest in peace, though.
Back on the street,
nobody
the crime
should lose
scene
their
was
life
now
over
filled with a
nothing,
yellow
bro.
tape, and police began knocking on doors in the massive complex searching for any type of witness. And while the physical investigation was just now starting, the internet was already reacting. News of the shooting leaked online before the police had even prepared a press release. Screenshots of Ari's final Instagram story began circulating across the internet, and that screenshot made the whole story feel like it had already been solved in real time. And of course, this was quickly confirmed. This wasn't a random robbery or a tragic case of mistaken identity. Investigators later found evidence indicating the shooters had explicitly used that Instagram story to pinpoint his exact location. An Instagram story is designed to delete itself automatically, but because of the screenshots keeping it as a record,
Exactly.
his final dare was shared thousands of times.
Thousands.
That temporary post became his permanent last words. In the weeks and months after the shooting, arrests finally followed. Darren Day,
Damn.
a 25-year-old man, was arrested in Lee County.
See, y'all need to stop going on drills, bro. It's not that hard to find y'all niggas. There's cameras everywhere. There's cameras everywhere, bro. And they'll like the police just gonna take their time just to look through everything, look through all the traffic cams of that day. Once they get a witness, like, hey, what time this shit happen? Oh, 3. Oh, word. They go check the apartment cams, see you guys driving out. They gonna check the street cam from where that apartment complex is at. Then they gonna watch you drive, even through dense traffic. They gonna watch you drive all the way through, and they're gonna arrest your ass.
In charge with first-degree murder. A second man, 29-year-old Demon Speed, was later arrested in charge of premeditated first-degree murder and possession of a firearm by a felon, and the investigation moved off the internet and moved into the legal system. Ari Williams typed those words to prove that he wasn't afraid. In the world he moved through, appearing untouchable mattered, but by broadcasting his location and issuing a 5-minute challenge, he did something far more dangerous than he realized. He handed his enemies a real-time map to his front door. The platforms that reward boldness also removed the old protections of distance and time. What once would have required someone to physically track him down was now reduced to a single post that anyone could see and act on within minutes. He used his screen to issue a challenge, and it was answered by telling everyone exactly where to find him.
Which is the dumbest shit ever. Just dumb as fuck.
As we see throughout this series, the internet can be terrifying for a lot of reasons, but one of the most disturbing parts is how much of your real life can be found through it. That's why for this video, I'm working with Cloaked, the sponsor of today's video, to show just how easy it is to find out what personal information of yours is already exposed online. So I've all after you
I'm gonna take I'm gonna write that down. TikTok stalker.
In the spring of 2020, 13-year-old Ava Majuri set up her phone in her Naples, Florida bedroom. Like millions of teenagers stuck at home during the lockdown, she downloaded TikTok to pass the time. And within just a year, her follower count surpassed 1 million people. Her parents, Rob and Kim, kept an eye on her accounts. Rob was a retired police lieutenant who had spent decades working in Jersey City before moving his family to Florida. They knew the internet could be harsh, so they monitored the comments when they could, but watching over 1 million strangers is nearly impossible.
Not really.
By the summer of 2021, Ava was 15 years old. The comments on her videos were now starting to change. The casual remarks from other teenagers were being drowned out by the persistent messages from adult men.
Oh,
and while that was happening,
here goes the
one
weird ass
username
niggas.
kept appearing. His name was Eric Justin. He was 18 years old, living in Maryland. He had become fixated on Ava through her online presence. He started with comments, and then moved to direct messages.
Going on,
When he
Rockstar?
was eventually blocked on social media platforms, he sent her money through Venmo, using the transaction notes to bypass her privacy settings and reach to her phone. He wanted photographs. Ava's parents tried to handle the situation using standard pre-internet logic. They thought if they just gave this obsessive fan a normal smiling selfie, he would be satisfied and leave their daughter alone.
What? Why the fuck would you do that? As a parent, why the fuck would you do that? Don't give him shit. You should have asked him. Here's what you should have did. You should have, man. You what? You first of all, the dad's a police officer. You could have looked his ass up, plug his name to the system, hack this shit, find out where the fuck you live at, just in case some weird shit pop off. Like,
So they
fuck is
allowed
you
Ava
doing?
to send him 2 basic pictures.
No.
But that was a tragic mistake. The photos did not satisfy him at all. It only proved to him that he had a direct line to her. He then began demanding explicit images. Ava, of course, refused and blocked his accounts again. Eric, being so obsessive, didn't let it go. He found another way through. He tracked down Ava's classmates on social media and offered them cash. And for just $20 to $50, a classmate sold Eric Ava's private cell phone number. The text began coming directly into her inbox.
Whoever that nigga is, bro, that nigga a slime ball for real. That man slime ball. He's a slime ball.
With the tone no longer being obsessive, it was now angry. He began messaging her friends, outlining specific violent plans. In one message, he wrote, "I could just breach the door with a shotgun, I think." Ava would show the text to her dad. Rob read the messages, took Ava's phone, and responded himself. He identified himself as a former officer.
Why? Oh my god. Why? Bro, like, come on. You a police officer. Track the fucking number and grab this nigga. I'm chief of police. I will fire though. You a chief of police? Yo, you dead ass? That's fire. In Western Pennsylvania, I think you're capping. I think you're capping. I used to be a deputy chef. I think you're capping. What's your you got an Instagram? Let me see a picture, bro. Used to be working for all different types of police departments. Transfer a lot. You got Discord. Yeah.
and stated that Ava was a minor and demanded he stopped all contact immediately. And finally, the messages stopped. The family hoped the distance, nearly about 1,000 miles between Maryland and Florida, was enough.
I'm not scared of the dark. Oh, let's see, man. Let's see. Matter of fact, I got pull up Discord on my phone. Hey, I ain't about to lie. I don't know what none of that goddamn mean. Okay, I sent it to you. I sent you a friend request.
They keep them all safe. On July 10th, 2021, the neighborhood was silent. It was the middle of the night and the entire family was asleep. At approximately
You should
4:30
get
in the
it.
morning, a
Just shoot
massive
me a
explosion of
text.
sound tore through the silence of the house. A shotgun blast went off directly inside the front entryway. The solid wood door splintered violently inward, spraying wood fragments and shattered glass across the floor. In her bedroom, Ava woke up terrified. She looked down to the hallway
Not yet
and
though.
saw a hole completely through
Holy
the
shit! Hold on. I'm reacting to this video real quick. I'll do it right after this video though.
and demanded he stopped all contact immediately. And finally, the messages stopped. The family hoped the distance, nearly about 1,000 miles between Maryland and Florida, was enough to keep them all safe.
Hell no. Niggas got money too.
On
They
July
can
10th,
travel.
2021, the neighborhood was silent. It was the middle of the night and the entire family was asleep. At approximately 4:30 in the morning, a massive explosion of sound tore through the silence of the house. A shotgun blast went off directly inside the front entryway.
All they had to do was track this nigga phone and arrest him. That's all they had to do. Track his phone and arrest him. And they act like they can't track his phone and arrest the man.
The solid wood door splintered violently inward, spraying wood fragments and shattered glass across the floor. In her bedroom, Ava woke up terrified. She looked down to the hallway and saw a hole completely through the front door. Her father, Rob, woke up instantly. He knew exactly what that sound was. He threw off his blankets, grabbed his personal handgun, and ran barefoot toward the front of the house.
He up that motherfucker.
He stepped through the ruined doorway and out into the dark front yard. Standing on his lawn was Eric. He had traveled from Maryland to Naples. He was wearing safety goggles, ear protection, and an orange Walmart-style vest. Details that made the scene feel even stranger in the dark.
Man, if you
Eric
don't man, bro. If my door got shot and that shit bust open, I see a nigga on my front yard, I'm up in that motherfucker on his bitch ass. I'm up in that shit. And he had a shotgun. I was up in that.
fired a shotgun into the door, but now the weapon had jammed. Rob shouted at him, and realizing his gun was jammed and facing it
Shouting. Oh, and your gun jammed too? Boy, you was gonna get laid out. Fuck your age. You was gonna get laid the fuck out.
armed homeowner, Eric panicked. He turned and sprinted toward the street. Rob chased him across the lawn, but in the dark, he tripped and fell hard onto the ground.
Ooh.
By the time he got back on his feet, Eric had vanished completely into the shadows of the surrounding neighborhood. Rob stood alone in the quiet street.
Dad. L fucking dad. L fucking dad. You could have prevented that so easier before all that shit even happened. Now you probably gotta move houses. And whoever gave dude her phone number needs to be arrested.
He had no idea if Eric had a second weapon, or if he had traveled with anyone else. And inside, Kim was already calling 911. Rob walked back into the shattered entryway and positioned himself in the broken frame to stand guard. For several minutes, Rob stood there listening to the house behind him and the dark street in front of him. You would think someone who fires a weapon to a house with now their gun being jammed would run and keep running. But as Rob stood in the dark, he saw a figure moving back toward the property.
He spin
Eric,
back. This nigga spin back. This nigga spin back. No, Rob, you gotta murk him. Rob, you gotta lay this nigga out, Rob. You gotta lay him out. You gotta lay this nigga out, Rob. This nigga spin back. He spent back. Lay his ass out.
Left. And he was now walking toward the front door. Rob raised his weapon. He shouted, commanding Eric to stop where he was.
Oh my God, why did you shout? I would have wore all black. Standing in the doorway. Soon as I see him, all he gonna see is flash from the gun. What Jada Breezy said, all he see is flash from the gun. He didn't even feel it. But stupid. It ain't never ending. All he would have saw was flashes from the gun.
And dropped any weapons. Eric did not stop. He returned with his shotgun and refused to drop it. Rob fired his handgun and shot Eric, and he would collapse in the front yard.
Stupid ass. About
Almost later,
time.
police
Damn.
and paramedics arrived. They treated Eric on the lawn and transported him to a local hospital, where he would die just shortly after. Investigators marked the evidence, recovered the jammed shotgun, and Eric's 2 cell phones from the grass. On one of those phones, investigators found thousands of images of Ava and hours of saved videos. The phone he carried with him was a clear record of the obsession that had brought him there. As for Rob, he was not charged with anything.
Yeah.
Authorities treated the shooting as justified self-defense under Florida law. The whole family was physically safe, but the reality was permanently altered when the story made national.
Let's be for real, Rob. Bald-headed ass, egg-headed ass, boiled-headed ass, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall looking at you. Could have prevented that whole shit. If you see a random nigga texting your daughter or got some weird shit going on, you could have been tracked to him. You could have been tracked him. Been.
News, the internet, the exact same space that built Ava's platform, turned its full attention onto the family. Strangers dissected their choices. They criticized the parents for allowing the first 2 selfies.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? The fuck?
They also debated a classmate who sold her phone number for just a few dollars.
That nigga should go to jail. That nigga should go to jail. Dead ass. Or juvie.
And even after the shooting,
Or would have got sued. He should have got sued.
the family's fear did not fully end. Ava would later testify in court regarding another alleged stalking situation connected to a different classmate.
Another one?
Although that case was dismissed on the day of the hearing. The family eventually sold their house and moved, hoping to find a quiet place to heal.
I told you. She had to sell her
Relocating gave them
house.
a new address, a new yard, and a new front door that had never been shattered. But physical distance no longer means what it used to. The internet had made Ava reachable to someone who should have remained a stranger.
I'm a lie. As a father, you should have took the necessary steps to protect your daughter, and you did not. You failed, and now you had to kill somebody over that, and you had to move houses, and you probably scarred your daughter. Madden. Niggas get shot over Madden now. It's not even a good game. Madden is not a good game to be shot over.
On August 26, 2018, the Jacksonville landing was filled with the typical Sunday afternoon foot traffic. The open-air marketplace sits right on the north bank of the St. Johns River in downtown Jacksonville, Florida. Families were walking along the brick paths, people were eating lunch on outdoor patios, and the weather was hot and humid. Inside Chicago Pizza, a local restaurant on the property, the environment was completely different.
Oh my gosh, I gotta go to one of these. I gotta go to a game bar.
Tucked away in the back was the Good Luck Have Fun game bar. The space was dark and cooled by air conditioning. It was lit primarily by the glow of dozens of television monitors. By the time the tournament was underway, the small
Let me guess, it was some black niggas. It had to be. I could just smell it. It had to be some black niggas who did some shit like this. Because over Madden, that game is shit. Madden is shit, bro. Like, Madden and 2K is shit. And Call of Duty's going in that same criteria, is getting up there into that same criteria too.
game room was holding well over 100 players, spectators, staff, and friends. Reports put the crowd size somewhere between 130 and 150 people, all being packed shoulder to shoulder in a tight space. This was a qualifying tournament for the Madden NFL 19 Classic. For the people inside that room, this was a high-stakes professional esports event. The players who had traveled to Jacksonville were some of the top competitive football gamers in the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
A win here meant cash, recognition, and a spot in the Madden Classic Live finals in Las Vegas. The competitive Madden circuit operated like a tight-knit community. These were gamers who spent thousands of hours competing against each other from online from their own homes. They started to know each other's voices through the headsets and recognize others' playing styles by their gamer tags. In live regional tournaments like the one in Jacksonville were the few times they actually got to see each other in person. There were no metal detectors separating the tournament room from the rest of the landing. People moved in and out like it was a normal bar or a
The fuck?
restaurant. And at that time, that didn't seem strange. Sitting in the crowd that afternoon was Taylor Robertson. He was 28 years
Okay. I take it back. I take it back.
old, traveling from West Virginia. On the circuit, he was known by his tag, Spot Me Please. He was a dedicated competitor and a past tournament winner. And outside of the gaming scene, he was a husband and a father to a young son.
Mm-hmm.
A short distance away was Elijah
Okay. All right, we gonna see who killed who.
Clayton. He was 22 from California, known to everyone as True Boy. Elijah was also highly respected on the circuit, not just for his talent at the game, but for his personality, and known as someone who genuinely loved being part of the community. And tying the entire physical room to the rest of the world was a live Twitch stream. The main video feed showed the digital football field, the playbooks, and the virtual players moving across the screen. In the corner of the broadcast, a small webcam box showed the faces of the two competitors currently playing.
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of fans logged on from home, watching the games, talking in chat, and treating the stream exactly like a traditional Sunday football broadcast.
Right.
Among the players competing in the bracket that Sunday was 24-year-old David Katz.
Dang, how many
He had
suspects
traveled
is it?
down from Jacksonville from Baltimore. In the Madden community, he played under names like Bread and Mr. Sliced Bread. He was also a major contender who had won a major championship tournament in Buffalo the year before.
Mm-hmm.
But as the games progressed that weekend, Katz struggled. He lost his matches early and was officially eliminated from the tournament bracket.
Damn.
Losing a high-stakes match is always frustrating. But other players in that room noticed that Katz's reaction went beyond typical disappointment. He completely shut down, and he seemed to be acting strange throughout the entire day.
Oh, so it
He
was
was-
him. So he shot up the bitch. Take your fucking nigga's a fucking sore loser.
Refused to look at his opponents after his matches. When they would reach out to shake his hand, he would completely ignore them. He would sit by himself, staring blankly into the room,
Oh no.
isolating himself from the people.
If I was a security guard, I'd be like, hey, it's time for you to pack your shit and get the fuck out. Leave. Go cool off.
All around him. At some point in the early afternoon, Katz quickly stood up and walked out of the game bar. He walked past the rows of monitors, through the pizza restaurant, and back out to the bright Florida sun. While inside, the tournament moved forward without him. Elijah Clayton won his matches and advanced. Around 1:30 p.m., he sat down at one of the main stations for his next competitive game. He was wearing a red sweatshirt and large white noise-canceling headphones over his ears.
Mm-hmm.
And he was completely locked into the monitor right in front of him. The Twitch stream was running smoothly, but in the small webcam box in the corner of the stream, a tiny red laser dot suddenly flickered across the chest of Elijah's red sweatshirt. And then, the gunfire started.
Oh! Y'all saw that?
Chest of Elijah's red sweatshirt. And then,
Oh my gosh, y'all
the
couldn't catch
gunfire
it.
started. The room broke apart almost instantly. The webcam feeds of the players cut out, leaving all the online viewers looking at static screen of the video game menu. But the audio feed stayed completely open. The viewers at home couldn't do anything. They were just sitting there listening. In their headphones, the sounds of the tournament were now completely replaced by the cracks of a handgun being fired in a small enclosed room. Inside the bar, the crowded space became a problem. Dozens of people tried to move at the exact same time, knocking over heavy chairs, slamming into tables, and rushing toward the exits. And for the people watching the live stream across the country, the confusion lasted only a few seconds before the reality set in. People in the Twitch chat typed in all caps asking if the sounds were real, while others begged
Hell yeah,
anyone
it's
local
real.
to call 911. Inside the room, the shooter fired into the crowd. He had brought 2 weapons into the bar. One was a .45 caliber handgun fitted with a laser sight. The other was a 9mm pistol. But it's believed that only one of them was fired. Elijah Clayton was struck and killed sitting at the gaming station. Taylor Robertson was also shot and killed in the tight room.
Damn.
The gunfire hit 10 other people in the crowd. An 11th person was injured as the room erupted into a stampede to escape. Survivors did whatever they could to stay alive in the chaos. One competitor at the event dropped to the floor, crouching and crawling toward a bathroom as people around him scrambled over each other. Another player was hit in the thumb by a piece of a bullet,
Ooh.
but he managed to break away from the crowd and run out of the building. Other players suffered severe physical trauma. Timothy O'Leary was shot 3 times and spent the immediate aftermath facing major surgeries to save his hand and his body. Another person who had just been there watching the matches was struck twice in the lower body as he tried to find cover. And as the sounds of the sirens finally began to echo from the streets outside,
Fuck you, bitch.
the shooter turned the weapon on himself, ending his own life at the scene.
Oh, he a hoe.
And eventually, the connection to the server was finally cut, and the Twitch stream went completely black. As the venue was blocked off as a crime scene, the public and the gaming community began looking for answers. Investigators looking into David Katz's background found a long, documented history of severe mental health issues that went back all the way to his early childhood. There were hundreds of pages of psychological evaluations and behavioral interventions. As a teenager, he had been institutionalized in psychiatric facilities on multiple occasions, and he had been prescribed a variety of different things. Yet despite the multiple involuntary psychiatric stays as a juvenile, he had been able to walk into a licensed gun store in Maryland just weeks before the tournament and legally purchase both handguns. And what could be said with certainty was limited. Katz had lost, left the tournament area, and returned with weapons, and he targeted the gamers in the back room. Beyond that, the motive was harder to reduce to one clean explanation.
Ugly ass nigga. Stupid. Ooh, you bitch ass nigga. I hate niggas like you. Sore ass loser. Could have take your L, went back home, go practice, go come back next year.
Most people pointed at the loss. Others looked back at his long mental health issues, his isolation, and the way competitive Madden seemed to occupy so much of his life. But of course, none of these things fully explain the choice he made when he walked back into that room. And for the thousands of people who were logged onto that Twitch stream that Sunday afternoon, the memory of what happened at that event stays with them in the years after.
Webcam obsession.
The internet can make distance feel meaningless. Someone can be thousands of miles away, living in another country, speaking a completely different language, and still feel close enough to become part of someone's daily routine. A face on a screen can start to feel familiar. A username can start to feel personal. And when money gets involved, that feeling can become even harder to separate from reality. Most of the time, that illusion stays contained. It exists inside messages, live streams, late night chats. But sometimes, someone begins treating the screen like it's more real than the life around them. And that was the problem growing inside the Amato family home in Florida. By January 2019, Chad and Margaret Amato were trying to save their 29-year-old son Grant from a world they could barely understand. He had just lost his nursing job, drained the family money, lied about who he was online, and became obsessed with a woman from Bulgaria that he never even met. On the morning of January 24th, 2019, Chad sat down and wrote a list of rules for his son. Get a job, stop contacting the woman online, no more money leaving the family's accounts. He had to put into writing because spoken promises had already failed. By then, Grant was 29 years old, unemployed, living back inside his parents' house. His career as a nurse had just collapsed.
Oh,
He was
fuck.
fired from Advent Health Orlando. After the hospital suspected him of stealing prescription medication and improperly administering drugs to patients.
Come on, man.
Out of work and out of options, he moved back into his childhood home, and his parents took him in. And with his physical life falling apart, Grant retreated into a digital one. Sometime in mid-2018, Grant found a website called MyFreeCams. The platform is a live streaming site where models broadcast for tips. And Grant found a Bulgarian performer who used the screen name Addie Sweet. Her real name was Sylvia, but on camera she went by Sylvie. She was warm and attentive to the people who tipped her constantly, and she created the atmosphere these platforms are designed to produce, the feeling of an intimate, personal connection passing between two people across the world. Grant tipped generously the first time. He tipped more the second time,
Wasting
and
all
he
of his
shifted
money.
his sleep schedule to match her broadcasting hours,
Oh, fuck.
staying
no.
awake through the Florida nights to log in whenever she went live in Bulgaria. In their chats, she taught him a few Bulgarian phrases, even began sending physical gifts to a mailing address she provided for paying members. These were packages of lingerie, toys, and flowers.
That's
To
it.
keep her attention, Grant built a completely new version of himself from scratch. He told her he was a highly successful Twitch streamer and a competitive gamer with a massive income. He presented himself as a man who could afford to throw money across the internet without a second thought. And of course, Sylvie had no way to verify anything he had told her, and had no reason to doubt it. She would greet him by name when he appeared, smiled at him through the screen, and he kept paying. Of course, the real reality was that Grant had no income. When he drained his own savings first, when that was gone, he quietly worked his way into his family's finances.
Oh, you motherfucker. You motherfucker. You slut.
He pulled money from joint accounts. He maxed out credit cards. He even managed to arrange a home equity loan in Chad's name.
What?
Every evening, Chad came home from a long shift at the pharmacy, completely unaware that the house that he was paying for was being leveraged to buy virtual tokens. And over the course of several months, Grant moved roughly $200,000 out of the family's accounts. And when they finally discovered the missing money,
200K to a you don't know? And you never seen in real life? You didn't touch? You ain't give him crack. And these can't get none of that back.
they realized the full scope of the deception. The financial damage was devastating. But instead of simply throwing Grant out on the street, they tried to manage it. Grant temporarily moved out and went to stay with his Aunt Donna, but the same pattern followed him there.
They're the
He
same thing.
soon
to
began
Donna.
stealing from her as well. And when his parents found out again, they intervened. They convinced Donna to not press charges. And
What?
desperate to keep Grant out of the legal system, they paid
Man.
around $15,000
Oh my God. Just put this nigga in jail. Put this gooner ass nigga in jail. He committed fraud 4 times.
to send him to a specialized internet addiction treatment center in South Florida. Grant completed the short stay at the clinic and returned home. The primary condition of
Like, Pornhub is free. Well, Twitter is free.
him living in the house was strict. He was permanently banned from contacting Sylvie. His parents had cut off his phone data and changed the Wi-Fi passwords.
Yeah.
But his mom still wanted to believe that her son was trying, though she occasionally allowed Grant to use her own cell phone, trusting he would use it to look for a job. But of course he didn't. The role was almost immediately broken. Grant used his mother's phone to log back online and reach out to Sylvie again. And on January 24th, Chad found out about the contact, and that was the day he handed Grant the written contract of the final ultimatum.
Get a
But the
job,
argument
stop contacting
escalated,
women online,
and Chad
no
ordered
more,
Grant to leave.
no more money
Weeks
leaving the
earlier,
family account.
Grant had spent time at a home of a friend named Blake Turpin, and during that visit, he had unsupervised access to a room where Blake kept a semi-automatic pistol. And Grant stole that gun, and he had kept it hidden since.
I thought he sold
That
it or some
evening,
shit.
His family's house settled into a quiet routine. Margaret was sitting at her desk working on the family computer. Grant approached her from behind. He raised a stolen pistol and shot his mother once in the back of the head, and she collapsed at the desk. Immediately, Grant did not call for help. He didn't run, and he just sat there and waited. And sometime later, Chad walked through the front doors after a long day at work. He stepped into the kitchen, and Grant shot him twice. Chad would die on the floor. The two people who had spent months trying to save him were now dead, and his brother Cody was now still at work. Grant took his father's cell phone and opened the messages. He typed a simple message to his older brother asking him to come home, and as he walked through the front door, Grant shot his brother in the head near a storage room. At approximately 9:30 that night, Grant sat down at the family computer. His mother, father, and brother were dead in the surrounding rooms. He plugged a thumb drive into the machine.
All that over some virtual pussy? Man, bro. It can't be that serious, bro.
And began comping files. He transferred more than 600 photographs and videos of Sylvie that he had saved onto a hard drive over the months. And after the murders, he used the family credit card to buy another $600 in tokens for Sylvie's account. And additionally, Grant also allegedly used his deceased father's fingerprint to access an online banking app. When the files were secured, Grant turned his attention to staging the physical house. He placed a different gun, not the gun that he stole, near Cody's body, and he arranged it to look like Cody had snapped, murdered their parents, and then pointed the gun to himself. Grant packed a bag.
Autopsy call that would have called that shit off, nigga. If he would have
Walked out the front door and drove to a hotel about 30 minutes away. The next morning, when Cody did not show up to
dumbass, cause cameras caught all of that shit.
his shift at the hospital, eventually police were called for a welfare check. Officers would arrive and find the bodies, and the staged scene fell apart almost immediately. The new gun placed near Cody did not match the fatal wounds, and investigators quickly realized the scene had been manipulated, and they pulled digital forensics from the family computer.
Told you.
The hard
Told you. You stupid ass nigga. And he left a digital footprint.
drive contained a precise, inescapable record. Months of browser history, chat logs, and webcam session timestamps documented exactly where the $200,000 had gone.
Dumbass.
The logs also showed a thumb drive connecting to the machine at 11:30 p.m. on the night of the murders. Hotel records placed Grant at the DoubleTree in Orange County. Police would find him there the following morning and arrested him. And of course, the thumb drive was with him. The trial began in July 2019. Grant would maintain his innocence, with his defense arguing that an unknown intruder had committed the murders and left without a trace. But it only took the jury about 8 hours before convicting him of 3 counts of first-degree
8 hours? It took them 8 hours? It should only took them like 30 minutes.
premeditated murder.
It took him 8
He was
hours.
sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. Sylvia, who had done nothing illegal and had no idea what was happening in Florida, later described the case giving her extreme stress, nearly ruining her life. She was simply a performer doing a legal job from another country. Sylvia was in Bulgaria. Grant was in Florida. They never met. But inside the world he built online, she was close enough to matter more than his own family, standing just a few feet away.
Pussy. That's fucking insane. That's fucking insane.